So this is actually the first issue where they become the lead story in the book, right?
Yeah,
It's also the first with their name added to the title, I think.
I think that's right. Here, let me say the name and all that stuff
Oh yes.
so we can have a clean opening.
Mm-hmm.
This time we're looking at Superboy, starring the Legion of Superheroes, number 197. It's by Cary Bates, Dave Cockrum. No other credits. Murray Boltinoff's the editor.
Right. I have Ben Oda listed as the letterer.
Veteran letterer, Ben Oda.
Mm-hmm. And also, this is the first appearance of, I'm going to butcher his name, Tyre? Ty, how do you say it?
Tyr.
Tyr. Tyr.
I looked it up. He's a Norse god.
Oh, I had no idea. I thought they just made that name up. This is also the first appearance of Lightning Lad's kind of classic standard costume.
Yeah.
The blue and yellow one. And of course, it's the first appearance of Timberwolf's new look. His Wolverine look.
Right. I like this cover. I think this is a Nick Cardy cover. Dude did a ton of covers. They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
I wish he was drawing the book.
It feels very more modern. Maybe not modern, but like it feels like an 80s cover or something. Like it's more dynamic than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on his style. I mean, I can't quite put my finger on what it is that makes it look so good to me. But he's got, I don't know, he does something with his inks and with the, I don't know, the body types and stuff. He kind of has like the Filipino style almost.
Oh.
To me, it looks like that sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
like Alex Nino or Jesse Santos or something. Kind of a chunky style,
Mm-hmm.
or chunky inking style, anyway.
You said it was Nick Cardy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really great.
And I never read those. He did those Teen Titans, right? I never read those.
Did he do? Maybe I'm mixing him up with someone else. Did he do Aquaman for a long time? Also.
Yeah, I don't know if he just did covers on Aquaman, but I've seen a lot of Aquaman drawings by him anyway.
I think he had a very popular or well-known run on that.
Yeah.
I've not read much Aquaman, but it's been on my to-read list for years.
Yeah.
The stuff from that era.
I wish he was drawing Legion of Superheroes. I would take him over Mike Grell or Dave Cockrum.
Really?
As good as those guys are, I'd take a Nick Cardy Legion comic.
Sure.
This one looks like Element Lad's wearing a flight belt on this cover out of the blue.
It does. And as far as I can tell, I don't even think he's in this book.
Yeah. I think they might show him on the first couple of pages.
Okay. We'll have to find out.
One day I was looking at the original art for this. It's online.
Oh, really? On the auction?
Yeah, or Comic Art Fans or something.
Uh-huh.
This little line right here on Saturn Girl's costume is gone, so it looks like she doesn't have any pants on.
Like they added it at the last second?
Yeah.
Do you think it was he intended to draw it sort of racier, or the colorist was doing it, they realized it was missing a line or something?
Yeah, I kind of feel like he just forgot it because it's kind of such a weird costume.
Right.
Crazy splash page of Superboy, Mon-El are stopping Timberwolf from trying to kill the president of Earth. And check out this president. You think this guy's a Democrat?
I don't know. He looks a little bit like a libertarian to me.
Yeah, you're right. That facial hair, like, yeah, this guy's got a bunch of guns.
Right. There's this strange aesthetic. I don't know if it had to do with the 70s or just both Cockrum and Mike Grell's sensibilities, but a lot of the future stuff has this kind of Ren Fair feeling to it.
Yeah, like these kind of like dangly, oversized collars and sweaters and stuff.
Of course, Grell at least ended up doing lots of period piece stuff afterwards, I think. Like well, I don't know, like kind of like Warlord. I guess that might be set in the present, but he's a middle-aged guy or something, right? He's doing like a knight or something.
Yeah, he's
a guy in a loincloth in his underwear with swords.
Right.
And, yeah.
Yeah, and he has this really Baroque helmet thing that he wears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy actually kind of looks like the Warlord. The goatee, I guess, is just this opening caption has a great quote, or I guess the caption in general is kind of complicated. It says, once in a while, a gallant legionnaire must sacrifice his life in the line of duty so that his comrades might live. But now, astounding as it seems, one deceased member has made a miraculous return to the living, with one sinister in mind, to see that his fellow legionnaires all die. So sometimes you have to die so they can live. Other times you have to come back to life to kill them.
Right.
I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. And so we kind of begin in Smallville with Lana Lang is trying real hard to get Clark Kent to make out with her.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want to. And I don't know why.
Do we know that he doesn't want to? He's nervous about it, it looks like, but
well, he won't. I don't know if he doesn't want to or is too nervous to do it.
But well, right. His Legion signal goes off. Like maybe he would have gone through with it otherwise. I'm not sure. But of course, he finds a way out of it by giving her a concussion with the apple.
Yeah. I guess I was thinking that he knocked her out so he wouldn't have to make out with her, but I guess he's doing that so he can leave.
Right.
But I didn't recall any actual romance ever between them, right? Wasn't it really platonic the whole time? Because she was in love with Superboy, or am I thinking about the Lois Lane Clark dynamic?
Oh, no, I think you're right. That sounds right to me. It's got to be the only time in history a man has deliberately knocked a woman unconscious to not kiss her.
This is all about the turning the tides, turning the tables on
right. Defying expectations, playing against time. Yeah, it's got even the language has this weird subtext that would not fly today.
But it's from her, right?
Right. Well, right. But she's like every other guy at school forces himself on me, but you don't.
Oh, yeah. She says she'd be flattered if he'd at least try to kiss her.
Right.
Jeez. Anyway, he knocks her out and goes to the future. Superboy gets to the future. He runs into Timberwolf, who has been missing. Everybody thought he was dead.
It's a very strange, like many stories, it seems to be like covering up some kind of, it's written as though it's covering up like some kind of continuity glitch, like someone disappeared and they're explaining it. But this was never seeded before. Like there was no issue where he went missing, no mention that he's dead. Like this is the first we're hearing of all of it.
Yeah,
I can't quite figure out. Like maybe they didn't have time to lay it all out, or maybe they changed some plans at the last minute. Like they intended to have a story that this is sort of continuing from, but
I just kind of feel like that this is their reintroduction of Timberwolf in the new the new version. And yeah, they instead of recapping his origin, they just did this way, and the recap is the death.
This seems pretty dramatic I mean, you see stuff like this all the time when someone comes back from vacation, and it was never laid out that he was on leave for a while or something. But he's been dead. It seems pretty significant. Uh, he did show up. I looked back, and he showed up in. I want to say it was 192. Um, and Cockrum drew it. He's just kind of in the background in a few panels, and he is wearing his old costume in that. So, but as far as I know, even still, okay, it was 191 if you're ever curious. But even within the story, I don't think there's any mention made of his change. We can sort of assume something happened while he was gone that led to this metamorphosis, but they all seem to be they're not talking about it. Maybe they don't want to embarrass him or make him feel self-conscious that he suddenly looks like he's part animal.
Well, but in the flashback, he like in the flashback to the adventure where they meet Tyr, he does look the same. So he's already made his transformation before he died.
Oh, even further complicating things.
Yeah. Oh, but here's shows a bunch of the current Legionnaires running up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see Element Lad unless he's this guy way back here, miscolored, because I don't recognize that Legionnaire.
Looks like Chemical King is back there, maybe.
Yeah, it's Chameleon Boy,
Karate
Chemical
Kid.
King, Karate Kid, and then between those two guys is somebody who has like a blue shirt, red pants, and yellow boots, which is none of them. Maybe it's Colossal Boy or something.
Right. Got Matter Eater Lad and Cosmic Boy on the left.
Yeah, and they all do have kind of newer costumes, I guess, or not all of them, but a lot of the newer costumes are present here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess Cockrum's been on the feature since 184. It hasn't been consecutive issues yet, so like every second or third issue has been a Legion. They all alternated with Super Baby.
Well, maybe that's an untold tale of the Legion that we'll have to write ourselves someday.
Oh yeah, put it in our fanzine.
Yes, I'm sure some fanzine has probably addressed it, right?
I wouldn't be surprised. I kind of feel like probably every story has been covered by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's just Superboy. Here's the flashback where Superboy confirms that there's no way that Timberwolf could have survived the explosion that they were caught up in.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely dead.
Right. And then we have something that looks a little bit like a Klingon vessel and the Enterprise kind of mixed together, maybe.
Yeah, did they have the Klingon bird of prey in 1973, or were those in the movies?
I should know, but I think they did. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, and another thing I noticed is every time they show the Legion headquarters in this issue, it is white, and the ball, I guess it's a United Planets thing, is also always white. It's just miscolored. Headquarters is blue, or what? Headquarters is orange, and this thing is blue. Typically,
you'd think by the 30th century they'd have some kind of tech that would just sort of levitate those little planets on the statue. I think they could almost do that already with magnets, but it does look kind of cool that way.
It's a metaphor for the connectedness of the United Planets.
Good thinking. Good thinking. No prize goes to you.
I keep winning the no prize.
Mm-hmm.
Mon-El is watching Timberwolf as he sleeps.
Creepy. Not using his X-ray vision. Must have a lead-lined bedroom.
This is the viewing room, which monitors every chamber of the vast Legion fortress.
Right.
So they can watch everybody as they sleep if they want. There's no privacy in the Legion. It's pretty messed up.
I'm sure Timberwolf took advantage of that later after.
Oh, yeah. He's like, hey, Lightning Lad, can I get in the monitor room?
That's what him and Block are doing at the. That's why they're always at the viewer screen.
Anyway, Mon-El's suspicious that he might have some ill effects, even though he's supposedly lost his memory of what happened to him during the 6 months when he was supposedly dead. Mon-El's not so sure. And then, here's the first appearance of the Lightning Lad costume. And I believe this is all we see of it, right? He's not even in the rest of the story.
Not prominently, I don't think. Yeah, they don't make a big deal out of it at all.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a classic costume.
Yep, it has come back over and over and over again. It when you really look at it, it is not too terribly different than the previous costume. Like the color scheme is similar, but they just made the lightning bolts a lot bigger and ditched the cape. But if you've ever looked at them side by side, you can see how he kind of took the original and just tweaked it.
Yeah, didn't he have?
It's not the original, the one he wore, through the 60s. The blue and white one with the what do you call that? Like it looks like a diaper kind of hanging out the top of his belt. And
right, it was kind of a tunic shape. But did he have orange like shorts on?
Yeah, that's right. The shorts were orange.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is, in my opinion, is far superior. And they kept this design. Like this is what in the Legionnaires series, those guys and the reboot guys, it was all kind of based on this with like the white stripe in the middle on their legs.
I think almost every costume he's had since, it's been a variation.
Well, he actually kept this for the whole time, I think, until he retired, Other people kind of changed again out of the Cockrum costumes, but this one was very timeless.
He had a different costume 5 years later that was way simpler, way simpler. It was like all blue and black, I think, and then the only really lightning like effect to it is I think the collar was shaped kind of like a lightning bolt, so that his
it was like a
chest exposed was
it was a V-neck.
Yeah.
But he was never really in action, right?
No, he just like popped up in action for like the very end, like the last battle. They brought the 3, original members back together.
Yeah.
Did he get another one like when Giffen gave everybody the bulky costumes during the Magic War? Because I know Lightning Lass got something like, he was out of the team by then.
Yeah, he wasn't a member anymore.
Because didn't she get something like that, like a more uniformish kind of thing that might have just had a little lightning bolt on one of the pockets or something like that?
Yeah, like on the shoulder pad had a lightning bolt on it, I think is what hers was.
Okay.
But yeah, he had retired by then and was just a stay-at-home dad.
Right.
But yeah, so while the president explains that they awarded Timberwolf a Valor Star when he died in the line of duty, and now they're giving him another one since he's back. So now he has 2 of them. And it's at this point that he's triggered and he has an irresistible urge to kill the president.
Somebody had watched The Manchurian Candidate, he thinks.
Yeah, I was trying to see if like maybe there was like a theatrical re-release of Manchurian Candidate.
Right. Well, at some point, I think that almost became like a story trope or something, because I feel like lots and lots of stories I've read over the years have had that kind of basic premise.
Right.
Since The Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, and I was wondering if this was, I don't know, if there's some kind of like Watergate subtext to this, like dissatisfaction with the president. So they're kind of vicariously taking it out on the Legion president. Because like I looked at some headlines, and maybe the time that they were working on this was when they started like the Watergate hearings, like he hadn't resigned yet. That's next year. That's in 1974. But around this time, they start learning all the gruesome details of the Watergate scandal. But yeah, Timberwolf, he spins the president around real fast. And if these super guys come too near him, he's going to let him go. I think every president really needs that, like a real dizzy fit.
Blazes.
Did you say blazes again?
Yeah. Blazes. The president could be sent flying off in any direction.
But Superboy has a stretchable, indestructible cape, and Mon-El can stretch it out.
Apparently limitlessly.
Yeah.
In fact, I think there may have been a story where he stretched it all the way around the world.
Oh, brother. So they've got Timberwolf and they're fixing him with mento rehabilitation. Like in that Duo Damsel story, they use psycho care. I wonder how different it is. Is this the same thing as psycho care? Or is mento rehabilitation maybe the stronger dose of psycho care?
Maybe Superboy recommended they rebrand it. Who gave her the psycho rehabilitation? Was that also Brainiac 5 or was it someone else? It was just the authorities.
Yeah, I think it was just some authority would do that.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd want Brainiac 5 messing with my mind.
Yeah. Oh, this is their mento rehabilitation room. So it's advanced equipment. So they have a whole room for this, for fixing brainwashing.
Yeah. Almost looks like a CAT scan, which they probably didn't even have back then.
Well, it looks like his head is inside of this, like you see when they do like open head brain surgery and stuff, and they put this umbrella around and work on the other side of it. Kind of looks like one of those. Maybe they've lopped off the crown of his skull,
attempting to restore his regular hair.
Yeah.
Switching scalps.
But when he wakes up, he's remembered what happened, and he remembers that he's transported to another dimension, and he meets this giant guy.
Is he normally depicted larger like that? I don't remember him being like towering over the other guys. Maybe I'm just thinking of the action figure, but
yeah, he's definitely a normal size action figure.
Maybe Timberwolf is kind of short.
I think maybe in this he's supposed to be big, because he looks big on the next page. When he's kind of attacking Saturn Girl here, he's huge. And yeah, he's huge here too. So I guess Cockrum wanted him to be a really big guy. Yeah, he's really enormous. He's like a 10-foot tall guy. And here we see into Timberwolf's bedroom a little bit more here. Timberwolf technically or evidently has 2 bedrooms, because when he's being spied on back here, he's got a twin size bed, and over here it looks a lot more like a full size. And he's got a little schematic drawing of the Enterprise on his wall.
Interesting.
And he has some pocket change and a pencil with a like a little grip, squeezy grip on it.
He has slippers. He has slippers by the bed. Mr. Tough guy wears slippers. Is that an X-Acto knife?
Oh, I thought it was a pencil with one of those. You know how they have those like spongy grip things you slide onto it? It could be an X-Acto knife. He might be making a model.
Or a nib pin. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's his pager.
Yeah, and his Legion, his flight ring is there.
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't seem like he's wearing one.
Nope.
Is that a deliberate continuity thing there?
Well, he doesn't use it. He doesn't fly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Saturn Girl senses him snooping around, knows he's up to something. Meantime, the Tears Klingon bird of prey lands. It looks very similar to the Legion shuttle, just kind of curvier. It's as if they only ever dreamed of one kind of style of spaceship.
Yeah, when it first popped up a few pages back, I thought it was a Legionnaire coming. Like it was kind of a misdirect. Like maybe this was the first time they showed the ship off, and we were going to see like Chameleon Boy come out.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can see that. Yeah, like because they don't tell you who's in it, huh? So maybe it could be a Legion person. You think that's what they're going for? Actually, I think this drawing, this one, I thought was in that Amazing World Legion handbook as an illustration of their shuttle. I could be wrong though, but that would be a weird error to make. Because this is Tears' ship.
They do look nearly identical, but
yeah.
I mean, there's no logical reason for every ship to be unique. I mean, maybe they're like Honda Civics or something.
That's true. You'd think that Brand would buy the Legion a better ship than Tyr would have.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly doesn't look as cool, though.
Right. But theirs is gold, right?
In that picture, it is.
Mhm.
But Timberwolf is going to detonate the self-destruct mechanism in Legion headquarters, which is just in the middle of the floor in their control room here.
Yeah, you always got to have one of those in the place you live.
Where's yours? Mine's in the crawl space.
Mine's in the kitchen.
But he, like in all the shows and all the submarine movies and stuff, you always need like two people with their keys and stuff like that.
Right.
In this, you don't. Legion doesn't need that. Just like one guy who's been on leave for 6 months can come back.
Right. Star Trek 3, I think, was like that.
Kind of a good looking, pretty drawing of Saturn girl here.
Mm-hmm. I was appreciating her hair on panel 10 because I've been trying to draw a lot of hair lately. And it's just really tricky getting all those lines. Because she's got blonde hair, but you still there's so much black there.
Oh, like this one where it's kind of in the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, hair's a bitch.
Hair is hard.
Yeah, this is a good drawing of Tyr. Actually, good. I don't know, good panel altogether. Like everybody fits in. Her kind of awkward pose kind of still reads. What is kind of funny is though, the detonation sequence is 90 seconds, and Tyr explains everything that's going to happen and why he's doing it. She questions him, explains it all back to him. Like there's way more word balloons on the page that's supposed to occur in 90 seconds than on any other page.
Yeah.
So it's like
as we near the end.
Yeah, the tension
is get it all in.
The tension's building up because it's like, will they shut up in time,
right,
to stop the clock?
Right.
But Timberwolf does. He got knocked senseless. It restored his memory. Now he's taking out Tyr, electrocutes Tyr. He says he throws him against this whatever power generator or something. He says that ought to keep him out of action for a while. The jolt he's getting from our generator would deck 3 ordinary men for a week. No, it would kill an ordinary man.
Yeah, but if you had 3 men like tied together.
And like they all get a third of the jolt.
Right.
And so he saves the day, but Tyr's, I guess, sentient gun hand flies away, and they imply that it may come back again someday.
And if I remember right, that is what happens. Like maybe it breaks him out of jail or something later. Like they return to that.
Yeah, I remember there's a Cockrum cover where the gun is on Superboy's hand.
And that would have been probably before there was a movie in the 70s. I think maybe Mark Hamill was in it, called Laser Gun or something like that, where there was a gun arm that people would wear. It was like an alien gun arm and it would possess them.
I don't remember that.
Laser Gun.
Was it Laser Blast?
Maybe it was Laser Blast.
There's a movie called Laser Blast. I haven't seen it. I don't know what it's about.
That has got to be it. Whoever wore it was possessed by it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good comic, kind of meat and potatoes kind of story, but looks real good. I like this Cockrum artwork. So I just wonder what kind of president this guy is. Is he a Nixon or is he a Trump? And there's no in between.
No idea. Does he pop up again?
I don't think he does. Like they have different presidents.
Mm-hmm.
Like Colossal Boy's mom.
Yeah.
And they have this guy named Desai, Mojay Desai is the president.
Was he her predecessor?
I think he's after her.
Okay.
And there is another president in the Adventure Days that they tried to kill. Like Universo tries to kill him, or no, Universo takes him over.
Okay.
And I think he has a name. This guy doesn't have a name, and I don't remember him being around again.
He didn't even have a name?
I don't think so. He's just the president of Earth.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they don't reveal anything about his politics or his name. He just gives out medals. And probably got some brain damage from being spun at super speed.
Right.
And I wonder, he gave these medals to Timberwolf. Do they take away the medals? Like once Timberwolf tries to assassinate him?
I know. Well, it seems weird that he's getting a second set when the first set is sort of invalidated, right? Like he didn't really die, right?
Yeah,
And they just
exactly.
swap it out.
Well, he's just going to have that second one, is what he says.
Oh, okay.
He says, "It's my pleasure to award you the star a second time. Now that you're like," so he gets a star for, he gets 2 stars for not dying.
Right.
No, all the other Legionnaires also didn't die, but why they don't get a star? Dumb, stupid presidents.
Mhm.
Like, it's just for show, just to keep his name in the polls. But yeah, it did make me think that maybe they would revoke those. Was there any good artwork that you wanted to point out in this one? Like, it's weird how it's like it's all really good, but nothing in it is like extremely dynamic. It's just all the anatomy is really good. The costume designs are good. Tyr looks super cool.
Right.
But it still is very Silver Age in its execution, I guess.
He was one of those guys, especially around this period, like it kind of feels like an underground comic to me a little bit. I feel like Jim Starlin's early stuff was sort of like that too. Like it's well done, but it's also sort of crude in some way. Maybe like the way the panels are laid out or something.
I think I kind of know what you mean. I don't really see it in this. I think I've seen what was it, Cockrum, like tryout pages,
Mhm.
or is that a Grell? It must be Cockrum's tryout pages where he did the lettering and stuff, and that really does look like
right,
a guy. He hasn't drawn a million pages of superhero comics yet,
right,
so it
right.
kind of looks a little bit off. Like if I were to had to draw a superhero comic out of the blue, it would look wrong, So I kind of see what you're
Yeah,
saying there. To me, this looks totally professional and solid,
right,
but it
right,
also looks like a guy who wants to be like a more contemporary stylist of like the physique
right.
and the costumes and all that stuff, but
Uh-huh.
he's sort of stuck in this really rigid kind of format that they've been using for the last 30 years.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the more I look at it, the more I want to take back what I said because it does hold together better than I thought. A lot of times with the guys when they're first starting out, it looks like they take a bunch of like really good drawings that they put a lot of work into, and then they're just kind of like half-ass drawings, tying them all together.
Yeah.
It's almost like they just took the good drawings and like made a story out of it, which is I'm pretty sure what the image guys used to do, the image founders, several of them anyway.
Yeah, those guys suck.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. But they are rich.
I was noticing, or on this first page with Clark and Lana, I thought this kind of looked like it reminded me of Keith Giffen artwork.
I see that with Lana, like her face.
Yeah, I think, and even his, I think it must be because Giffen so often just only does a profile or a straight on view of faces. He hardly ever does three quarters.
Those lazy eyes, those half closed eyes.
Yeah. I wonder if he was ever trying to emulate Dave Cockrum's style,
right,
at some point. Like maybe like when he was coming up, like Cockrum was probably on X-Men, so maybe he was just trying to whatever, do the zeitgeist, like he always had this kind of like Perez kind of Starlin kind of look, that kind of clean figure stuff. So I don't know, maybe Cockrum too.
I really dislike the way this is not Cockrum's fault. I don't think. I think it started before him, but like at some point, probably when they jumped a decade or so ahead, they changed Clark Kent's look. Young Clark Kent, he's got these kind of clear glasses and the red bow tie, or the green bow tie and the red cardigan. I just think it looks goofy as hell.
What was it like before?
Well, he had just plain black rimmed glasses for starters. He might have had like I should know off the top of my head. He might have had like a sleeveless sweater, I think.
Oh,
I don't remember if he had a bow tie or not, but if it was black or something. He didn't. Looked like he was wearing some weird Christmas costume with clear glasses.
What's it look like in this? Oh, it's the same, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
This is a V-neck. It's not a cardigan. But yeah, same difference.
I think Kurt Swan drew him like a sleeveless sweater of some kind.
Oh, like a sweater vest. Yeah, this story looks real boring. This Superboy story in the back.
Mm-hmm.
The slayaway plan. And this Superboy logo is miserable. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Like they use it forever.
Square.
Like
yeah,
it's on.
Weird that it's on the cover. It's weird.
Yeah, like they were just doing some ugly ass stuff in the 70s. But whatever, we can't change the past.
Is it Superman comics at this period, or have we blown past that? Like in the upper left hand, you know, like that was kind of the name of DC for a minute.
Oh, yeah, this just says DC and then Superboy, but I assume they change out the title for each comic. I kind of like the black DC logo.
Yeah. It's the new one's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I actually like the new one, but my expectations have been lowered significantly because I thought the last 2 or 3 were pretty atrocious.
Yeah, there was a couple real bad ones.
One of them looked like a paper towel logo.
Yeah, and they had that really great one, that really timeless, perfect one from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
They could still be using that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this letters page.
Super Talk. Did they change it again?
I think it's been Super Talk.
Oh.
I'd have to look, but I think a lot of Superboy is Super Talk. Like all the early 200s, I think, are Super Talk.
We were just talking about this a few episodes ago, and we were talking about how unimaginative the name was. But I think I would have remembered if it was Super Talk. I thought it was like the something mailbag, like the Krypton mailbag, or the Smallville mail
sack
bag or something. Mail sack, yeah.
Yeah, it's just so boring that you forgot it. I forgot it too until I started looking at these. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Super Talk. How imaginative.
Well, it sounds better than a Smallville mailbag to me. It sounds like these days a name like that sounds like it might be some kind of indie rock band.
Smallville mail sack?
No, Super Talk.
Oh. I mean, I think it was kind of clever to have the Superman letters page be Metropolis mailbag and the Superboy one be Smallville mail sack.
Yeah.
I guess they don't want to call it Legion Outpost because it's still a split book with half Legion, half Superboy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they wanted to get away from Smallville mail sack.
Well, they both have super in their names.
That's true. Super Talk. But yeah, Super Dole name for their column. It begins with a little bit of a note from the editor. The new titles, or logos as we label them in the publishing business, indicate the importance that the Legion of Superheroes has assumed. From all indications, never have we made a more correct move, because in all the years that we've held down an editor's chair have we been deluged with so much mail. Got that?
That's the editor writing that, or the...
Yep.
Okay.
We expected as much since we began to run sagas about the superheroes from the hardcore of loyal fans, but from first-time viewers who couldn't tell a bouncing boy from a chameleon boy, hoo-ha, their peons of praise simply cascaded into our cubicle.
Is he trying to be Stan Lee?
He's failing if he is. As coming chronicles now in the works will prove, the LSH will assume more and more importance. For example, Dauntless Dave Cockrum and Cosmic Cary Bates, as that bard from the Bronx Mike Flynn dubbed them, have prepped a full-length Lollapalooza for the very next ish, alliteratively titled The Fatal Five Who Twisted Time.
Try to do some of that snappy hip dialogue like the Marvel guys do.
I'm not going to read all this. He says next issue is going to have a autobiography of Dave Cockrum. He says Superboy will be involved in the Legion's super shenanigans. To the bewildered hordes who urged us to do an LSH tome and found instead a rash of reprints, the word is that mag is out. That should please diehards like David Orloff of Los Angeles, Tom Walter of Cockeysville, Maryland, Letter King, Cathedral City, California, Richard Foster, Commerce City, Colorado, Robert Jackson of Largo, Florida, and Greg Harried, Monterey Park, California, whose voices were loudest in the chorus of criticism. Well, I want to know who this guy named Letter King is from Cathedral City. His first name's Letter.
Is it spelled the same way?
Letter. Maybe because he writes letters to Legion.
It's like his nickname.
It's his nickname, Letter King.
I think his name would be Letters King.
Yeah. How about Letter Lord? Next, he says, "What's up with the upcoming issue number 200?" asks Steve Ahern of Hudson, Mass., Rich Roeder of Pine Plain, New York, and Cary Smart of Cupertino, California. How about having something fantastic and unbelievable happen? Writes Robert Diaz, Phoenix, Arizona. It's going to be a big occasion, so let's really celebrate. But it's Mark Smiley, Columbia, Missouri, who zeroed in to score a bullseye by stating Superboy belongs in the Legion, put him back into active membership. So I guess that's what they're doing. That's not what's happening in 200, though, as history shows us.
Right. But at least early on, the first few times he got kicked out or relegated to reserve status, he was still there every issue.
Yeah, I haven't read these in a while, so
I don't think there was any until like whenever they changed the title of the book completely. And then he was gone maybe for a couple of issues, maybe.
Well, but he must not have been in the action issues. And that was like a year and a half or something, right? Or maybe it was more like 20 issues of action. Because that was a Superman comic, right?
I don't know if I noticed that.
Yeah, I don't think...
You don't think is Superboy not in any of those?
I can't say for sure, but seeing as how it's a Superman book and not a Superboy book, and Superboy was still in... What was Superboy in back then? Was he just out altogether? Because Adventure became Supergirl, didn't it?
He had two books. He had Superboy and Adventure. Then he was, like you said, by the time the Legion left, I think Legion was his only presence in that book by then. So when because Legion was taking up the whole book by the end, I think, right?
Yeah. But so when Legion was in action, there was... Superboy was only appearing in Superboy.
He would have still had his own book that he's
right. I always forget there's a Superboy comic, I guess, even though they're all I have all the Legion ones, but prior to that, I don't remember.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the Golden Age.
Yeah, like the 1949 or something.
Right.
So maybe that's what they're talking about. I don't recall if Superboy shows up in the Legion Tales early in their Superboy run. He probably does, but maybe he doesn't. Like in that 172, the brotherly hate story, Superboy's not in that. So it could be that he only had sporadic appearances or none at all in the early Superboy.
Right, because they're all they're shorts, right? Like they're pretty short stories. But I think for a very long time, pretty much all through the 70s, I think, like it's almost like the premise of the Legion strip is like it's kind of from his point of view. Like he's the protagonist, like visiting this future. Like,
yeah. I just think that eventually I think they're right. I think these fans who are writing in are on the money, because I think maybe he's not showing up in the action issues and in the earliest Superboy stories. Which are from 172 up until 197, which were just read. Which
he's
is
definitely in some of those, because there's that Blood Crystal Mordu Dave Cockrum story, which is Superboy and Cosmic Boy. Like Cosmic Boy gets possessed by
Okay.
Mordru. So he's
Yeah.
in some of them. I just don't think that could be right. I'm gonna have to like flip through this and I think you might be onto something. He might not be in any of the Action comic ones.
I think it's a distinct possibility.
Oh, I think I saw him. He is in some of them.
No way, dude.
Because I'm looking at one right now. He's making out with Duo Damsel. It's when he leaves the Legion. One of the times he leaves the Legion. It's called One Hero Too Many.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. I remember that.
One of his many fake out departures.
Yeah, it's because he leaves because if he stays, the Legion has to pay taxes.
He's also in Lament for a Legionnaire. You're right, though. He is mostly absent, but it looks like there's a couple that happen in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's probably the least Superboy has been in it up until when they finally decided to get rid of him kind of once and for all during, what was that, like around Roy Thomas's time?
He goes on and says, "What encouraged us to make this move with the LSH? Letters like Philadelphia's Walter Yonka, who said, in part, the part of 193 that topped any issue that month was the Legion story. Written by Cary Bates, it was the best. Cockrum is without doubt the best artist who has drawn the LSH.
Wow.
I love the new costumes he designed and hope to see the rest of the Legion in the new ones." The editor says, after weighing pros and cons, Dave's decided to delay new uniforms. I think he still does a couple more, maybe, but yeah, I think they're pretty much in their final stages here.
Right. He actually reverses, changes direction with a couple of them because didn't he give Karate Kid that all white costume and then I guess didn't end up liking it as much as he thought he would and went back to the orange.
I think maybe
the first white one with like the handprint on it.
Right. I think that was before Cockrum.
Oh.
I could be wrong, but I think that was I think that might have been a Tuska issue of Superboy.
I kind of like that costume.
Yeah, it's like a Karate Gi white with like black piping or something and a handprint on it.
It's kind of like a very squared fingers, like a karate chop.
Yeah, like a karate like
an
emoticon.
Mm-hmm. Is that a thing, or did you just make that up? Is there a real karate emoticon?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
I meant like one.
I could see it happening.
Mm-hmm. 193 was unmistakably the best LSH tale to be published since the Legion left Adventure Comics several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Cockrum's futuristic type art fully enhanced Bates's superior scripting. It amazed me how fresh and original the scheme, which featured Duo Damsel and Chameleon Boy, turned out. It goes to prove that under the right scripting, the Legion radiates excitement and enthusiasm, something rare in comics today.
Do you think Cary Bates put one of his roommates up to writing this to secure his employment?
They sure do love Cary Bates.
You should keep that guy around. He does a good job.
He wrote a ton of Superman stuff.
Yeah. Was he famous for anything else?
I looked him up on Wikipedia. He wrote some of the Superboy TV show and some cartoons, I think.
Yeah.
And he wrote some DC stuff later on too.
Flash and Captain Atom.
And then it says a bunch of people complained about the coloring, and they blame a printer's error on the coloring of Chameleon Boy in 193.
Malcontents. 20 cents. What do you want?
It says Dave is prepping a color guide that'll be constantly consulted in the future. I wonder, what did they use to color them before? Like, did the colorist just have to know? Were they just looking at last issue?
I'm so clueless on that. I mean, were they cutting out Rubylith at that point for every shape in these comics?
Yeah, I guess so. And so that's where the error must have happened. Because, like, I mean, I've always seen, like, they have a Xerox and the colorist colors it with markers and calls out what color is supposed to be in there. and then somebody at the plant, the print shop or whatever, does the actual making of the separations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the mistake on Chameleon Boy probably was made, but I don't even know. I don't know what that issue looks like. And I bet he's colored correctly in your omnibus.
It's interesting. So the colorist was really just like finding the Pantone codes or whatever the equivalent was and writing them into the.
I think so, yeah. Like you've seen those color guides. You can find them on eBay and stuff where it's just like a Xerox. Somebody colored it with markers.
Right. I've seen ones where like the numbers are written on top and there's a line drawn to whatever shape. I've seen some of those for like early 90s comics, so you might have been doing it right up to the.
I don't know if that's how they were doing it back then, but probably.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm.
Unless you were Lynn Burley painting the whole comic, I guess.
In addition to the LSH fan club, which Mike Flynn guides from his control center at 1354 Herschel Street, Bronx, New York 10461. I just doxed him.
Road trip.
For innovative active participants, there's promise of more groupies gathering under the LSH aegis. Scott Taylor, for instance, of Rockville, Indiana, invites interested parties to forward him their names, ages, and addresses.
We should write him.
He may very well still live there. In this last section here, they say the Superboy story, by the way, in 193 by Cary Bates, also earned some good innings. Quote, I loved the $1 Million Double Cross, said Zachary Wonderful of Los Angeles. Zachary Wonderful. I wonder if he knows Letter King. I like the Pete Ross stories, except no one dies. What I want is the death of one of the major characters. Which one? Who's no longer important to the Superman family? Who is ripe for dying? None other than Perry White.
What?
And this is great. He describes how the storyline of killing off Perry White. Have him get emphysema from his cigars. Let him suffer for a year, then kill him off.
Well, how does Perry White play into this, though? I mean, Perry White's not part of Superboy, right?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. He just sends in this idea and they decided to publish it because it's kind of crazy. I guess because he's talking about Pete Ross at first. Okay. Before you get rid of him, have him become such a staunch friend of Superman that he learns his secret identity. Let Perry overexert himself to save Superman from some gold K, which kills him. This should change Superman so that he becomes afraid to use his powers for fear he'd befriend someone like Perry again. And the editor says, yeah.
Does he really?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
It's in parentheses at the end of that.
Sincerely, Jeff Johns.
Yeah. The Superboy story was perfect. Sighed Will Nash, Magnolia, New Jersey. The all Cary Bates Bonanza made 193 a landmark issue. Congratulations to all hands. And Lee Struther Vian, Dimmitt, Texas, thought it was rather good. In fact, it was very good. A nice change from the usual type. Wow, the usual type is not good, evidently, according to this Lee Struther Vian person. So to all you super fans, Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, we hope you'll find super joy in these pages now and in the days to come. That's the end of the letters page.
Another short one.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be the whole issue. I didn't read they don't make any mention of the Superboy comic on the cover.
Right.
I don't know. I wish it had been all Legion. The Superboy one looked real dull. Like it looks like he's not even in costume in that comic.
Really?
I guess he is. He's crushing a car. I guess that's kind of cool. He looks like he's yanking. Oh, the bad guy's yanking Lana's hair. But whatever. These Superboy comics that take place in Smallville, give me a break. Yeah, I don't know. I like this one. It's kind of forgettable, though, I think. I wonder how long I'll remember this issue.
don't know. The cover is so iconic.
Yeah.
To me, like if I think of like 10 iconic Legion covers, it would definitely be one of them.
Yeah, definitely. But the story is like, I mean, that splash page where he's like, "I gotta kill the
Right.
president." That's kind of cool. Like, but the plot, like, yeah, this kind of regurgitated Manchurian Candidate thing,
Right. Right.
which we've seen a million times, and then
Mhm.
Tyr, who turns out to be just kind of a nothing. Or in this issue, I don't know. Like, I think he comes back once more, and then once more after that in the Legion of Supervillains story, and that's all we
Yeah,
ever
he
know about
shows
him.
back up. I think that story is maybe just 2 or 3 issues after this one. It's pretty quick that he shows
Mm.
back up.
But here he like they don't really explain much about him, that he's from another planet and he's like the biggest
Yeah.
bad guy there, and that's about it.
Mhm.
But he does seem to have some interesting powers, maybe like he brought Timberwolf into another dimension, and then he
Right.
has this talking gun hand, and he's 8 feet tall. But I don't know, like that's it. He like even with those powers, they don't do enough with him to make him interesting or make you want to like crave him coming back.
Yeah, and the order I mean I had read several appearances by him subsequent before I read this, and later on he's just kind of a dumb lackey, right? He's not he in the Legion of, one of many guys and not one of the more prominent ones in like the Legion of Supervillains by the time I started seeing him in comics. So it's sort of underwhelming to come back and see him being the central guy. Like you're like, this guy, he's like one of the henchmen. He's not one of the main Legion of Supervillain guys.
But here, yeah, he's talking about
He's
his
supposed to be
his
the big scary guy or
his
something.
aspiration is to take over the Earth because he's already
Right.
taken over the planet he came from or something.
Right.
So this is 197, and 198 looks like we got the Fatal Five, who twisted time,
Oh yeah.
and then we got Tears gun hand
Are
back
those Nick
again.
Cardy as well?
This is Nick
That
Cardy.
middle one looks like it. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
198
sure.
is, and 199 is Cockrum, but it looks like a Cardy, like the
Right.
design,
The
like
Superboy does.
this kind of face. Yeah, that's a
Right.
Cardy.
Right.
Maybe they both worked on it.
Yeah.
We did it. Another one.